Raw Story has a great article out about why atheists are, generally speaking, disliked. They say, quote, researchers have found evidence that atheists are disliked and distrusted because of the widespread belief that people behave better when they think an almighty divine power is watching their every move. But a new study proposed another hypothesis. Atheists are disliked because they pose a fundamental threat to the worldview of religious people. The scientific journal Social, Psychological, and Personality Science published an experiment conducted with 236 college students, and it revealed that people from a variety of religious backgrounds tended to become more negative, more distant, and more distrustful of atheists after reflecting on their own mortality. Quote, a second experiment with another 200 students found that thinking about atheism made religious people more likely to think about death. The findings support the idea that one of the reasons people dislike and distrust non-believers is because atheism poses a threat to theistic worldviews that help people cope with human vulnerability and mortality. So that's absolutely brilliant, and that never crossed my mind before. But what they're saying is, atheists essentially remind religious people, just by virtue of what they believe, that it's possible that this world that we're in is totally finite, and that you're not going to survive your own death. Once you're dead from this world, your consciousness is lights out, and it's eternal sleep. And a lot of people, probably a majority of people, really, really struggle with that. And they hate the idea that the universe doesn't really revolve around them. They want to think like, no, it really is all about me, and once I'm gone, nobody else can go on, obviously. So they need to have this worldview, which is a little naive and a little childlike, but it helps them sleep at night when they think, I know I'm going somewhere else because this stupid holy book says I'm going somewhere else when I die, and I'll be in heaven with Elvis Presley and Marilyn Monroe. So just our existence threatens that, because they go, oh God, this fucking realistic asshole who's here, who's thinks that when we die, we don't exist anymore. That's no fun. I want to be comforted, so I need my existential pillow to sleep on at night that I think I'm going somewhere after I die, and I can convince myself of that if nobody stands in the way. But the idea is atheists essentially stand in the way and say, yeah, we just kind of disagree. We don't really believe that. So that's a really interesting interpretation, and one that I think there's definitely a lot of truth to it. But as I've always said, and as they briefly mention here in the article, other studies have pointed out that people just conflate atheism with immorality. So when somebody says, I'm an atheist, what people hear is, I don't believe necessarily that murder is wrong, that rape is wrong, that assault is wrong. I don't believe that there are, natural laws, if you will, or ways somebody should act. And of course, that's demonstrably untrue. In fact, oftentimes what you find is, if you poll atheists, their moral beliefs are much more in line with the beliefs of Jesus than Christians' beliefs are. Isn't that stunning? Liberals, by and large, according to polling data, they're mostly liberal. They're mostly progressive. There are some libertarians, of course, but it's mostly that. And, they believe in things like don't do unnecessary wars, treat people equally across the board. They believe in individual freedom more for people. They're against the death penalty more. So again, atheists more fall in line with their moral compass with somebody like Jesus, more so than even Christians do. So it's just empirically untrue to say, well, they're just immoral if they're atheistic. No, I always looked at it like this. At least this is how I think with my own belief system and my own, what I would call agnostic atheism. I think it's likely the case that this is the only life we're going to live. This is our only shot at consciousness. I think when we die, it is probably the case, though I don't know, but it's probably the case that it's lights off and you're just eternal sleep. It's the same way that it was before you were born, the same kind of feeling. And you should just be as good a person as you possibly can while you're here, and also make the most of it while you're here. So if this is your only shot at consciousness, there's no incentive to die. You want to live because this is it. This is the shot right here, man. This is where it happens. So why wouldn't you want to be the most moral person you could possibly be? Why wouldn't you want to make the most of this life that you probably can? If this is your main shot at consciousness and existence, you got to take it by the balls and take advantage of it. For fuck's sake, if you want to be the world's best ping pong player, chase it down with everything you got. right? My point is, you're not hedging to get to a different life. It's not like this is the practice round, guys. We'll get to the real thing later where we're in heaven. Because then people waste this entire life because they're just saying, the next one's going to be better, so I can just waste this one. Well, why not say, okay, our main focus is here. We got nothing to worry about. If we die, it's lights off. We won't even know we're dead when we're dead. So why not just live it up while we're here? Be as happy as we can, have as much dedication and passion as we can, and be as good of people as we can. So a lot of the beliefs about atheists are just flat-out myths. But it does make a lot of sense, though, reading this perspective. The perspective of just the fact that you believe what you believe, it threatens them. They don't want to think about their mortality. They don't want to think about that it may be over when they die. So they just look at you as a threat to their core beliefs. They don't want to examine those fundamental assumptions that they've made, so they'd rather just steer clear of you and think you're a bad person. Well, they can do that, but I think it actually hurts them more than it helps them.